Good afternoon. Welcome to the Batman Show with Ian, Eric, and myself. Hope everyone's doing okay today. I'm doing good. I've chosen to do good today, to feel good, and experience goodness all around me. How are you, Eric?
I'm good. I'm a couple of ways away from vacation, so I'm
It's
pretty
like,
excited. But
what
I'm
is it?
just swamped with work trying to get it all done by Tuesday. So
Is
yeah,
it like a 5-month vacation?
it's 5 week vacation.
5-week vacation.
Yeah, I mean I'm still working when I get there, but it's
Yeah.
we're on the road for about 4 or 5 days, and that's fun.
Ooh.
And yeah, so really looking forward to it. The house is a disaster with just stuff all over the place to pack, but yeah, we're almost ready to go. So we're pretty excited about that.
Well, whenever you need a cutout, you just let us know because I understand life is life sometimes.
Yeah, that's fine.
And Sir Ian, how are you?
Fine, busy at work. Haven't got any vacations planned. I've got a 25-minute walk to work in the morning, not a 5-day trek.
Okay.
So that'll be fun. Hopefully it won't be raining.
It is Scotland. There's a chance.
Well, yeah, I say hopefully. It will be raining. But yeah, well, it's all good.
Okay.
Okay, nobody speaking. I watched. Well, I didn't watch. I saw the replay of your John Williams Japan concert that you watched with Eric last week, and I started watching it, just watching you, and not listening to the concert, which was it. Because I was trying to pick up on your expressions, what you were actually listening to, and how it was going. I didn't do that for long because I just thought that was a stupid idea. But I was watching when you were listening to Sound the Bells, and there's. I saw Eric's face. I saw him kind of go like that very briefly. And I thought, oh, what was that about? So I watched the concert again, and there's a clam in the brass.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's it. That's that's why he made that face. But
Yeah,
that concert sounds great, actually. I enjoyed it.
It does. Yeah. It's the first time I've ever seen it. I think I might have seen portions of it, but I have never seen the whole thing. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say I never knew it existed, so that was a real treat for me.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, that was fun. We got to do more of those.
We will. David Kenzak's in the house. Hello, sir. Good to see you.
Hi, David.
Look what I found at the store of thrift today.
Oh wow!
It's the Nutcracker with the Philadelphia Orchestra Eugene Ormandy conductor from 1945 on 78.
78.
378s in there.
You find all the weird stuff.
Yeah.
Have you played it yet?
No, I have to get the 78 record player out of the dining room.
Okay. Or you could take the records to the dining room.
I could, but it's not plugged up in the dining room. It's just on the dining table for the moment. So when I get the library done, it's gonna be moved in there. So that's my long range goal.
Okay. So I finished watching Obi-Wan Kenobi.
What did you think?
Do you know what? It was. I was disappointed in the whole thing, to tell you the truth. I mean, it was all right, but it didn't blow me away. It was just meh, to use one of those terms. It wasn't a complete waste of my time, but it could have been so much better. I thought Ewan McGregor was great in the role. And you know, in that final episode, they did bring back the legacy themes, but they just felt too little, too late. I thought. I was just disappointed. It didn't blow me away.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt.
Soundtrack got released today, I heard.
I haven't bothered with it. I think I've heard enough. I think I'm just Star Warsed out, and I mean, I'm glad that there are people out there that love this and just lap it up and think it's the greatest thing in the world. And I think that if I was, kid again, I might be doing the same thing. But I just I'm just kind of disappointed in the lack of good storytelling. This didn't have to be a 6-part series. I mean, I think it was supposed to be a film, which was then canceled because the Star Wars story films weren't doing so well. And then they just expanded it to this 6-part series, which just seemed like at least 4.5 hours of it was a complete waste of time. It didn't really go anywhere. So it's just, I mean, I'm just finding they're just throwing a lot at us again, much like Marvel. And it's just get to the point where it's just, you're oversaturated with it. And I'm sure Star Wars fans are loving it, but I'm kind of done. And the only saving grace for me, I thought, was going to be the music. And that was really, and I mean, we're seeing all of this behind the scenes nonsense that's coming out of these various articles. And that one that came out over the weekend just exploded, and people were offering false information about other films and things of that sort. It's just, there's a lot of hearsay. There's a lot of rumors out there. And even with Holt's interview and what she had to say about when John Williams showed up and how they were going to use the themes, if they could use the themes, like, is John Williams basically the gatekeeper for the Star Wars themes? I mean, I don't envy what Holt had to go through on this project. It should have been a lot easier for her, but there's just so many people who've got their, fingers in this pie. And I kind of feel really bad for her, especially the way that Williams was kind of just dropped in at the last minute, and then Ross was replacing her music. I don't know. I don't know what, it's just a mess. The whole process and musically is just a mess. At least I think. But I mean, admittedly, I did feel something like during episode 6, but it was the music, it was the themes. It was finally Ewan McGregor having an opportunity to actually kind of act and emote and really feel. And I thought he was really good in that last episode. The rest of it was rather flat. And I was interested in the story after the first episode, because I thought that was okay build up and kind of seeing Kenobi's life 10 years later and what he was doing and how he was staying kind of like the desert hermit that that we all kind of knew him as when we first saw him in Star Wars. But then it just got to be this utterly ridiculous adventure that just throws, I mean, people are just kind of throwing things and hoping that it would stick. And it's even if it didn't match the timeline or things that happened in other films, it was just like, oh, we're just going to do whatever. So yeah, it just kind of fell flat. And that's kind of like, I'm like, there's nothing else that really interests me in Star Wars besides maybe the video game music. That seems to be quite exceptional. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think something that was missing from it was a sense of fun as well.
Right.
Yeah, these Star Wars series are super serious, and they're taking themselves, I think, just a little bit too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And it's missing out on that sense of adventure that you got from Star Wars.
Yeah.
They're very grim, which
Mm-hmm.
it's okay for the subject matter, but I think a bit more humor would have helped as well. But yeah, and I think Andor isn't going to change things, because Andor is coming from probably one of the most serious Star Wars films there's been so far, Rogue One, which had very little humor in it as well.
Right.
But that seemed to work, I thought. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm. What did you
David
think?
said, me, I didn't see it. I've listened to all the reviews on the YouTube channels. I've heard they just kind of made Obi-Wan Kenobi a bumbling idiot for most of the show. Apparently, you can stab someone through the chest with a lightsaber twice and have them live.
Right.
But that seems odd to me.
Yes.
It's like, oh, look, there's an obstacle in our way. I guess we could just walk around, but let's try to get over it instead.
And I heard that was like a last minute decision to keep her alive. because I guess they want to spin something off with her.
Yeah.
So I don't see the popularity in her character at all. I thought it was rather flat. I don't think she was particularly good in it. She wasn't interesting. The Inquisitors aren't very interesting either. Oh, and then the fact that the other guy that got stabbed through the stomach came back, and it was just, it's laughably bad. I mean, you're trying to showcase something and bring some sort of, I guess, seriousness to the proceedings, but then you have people who are stabbed through the stomach and they just come back to life and everything is okay, and you're just kind of making up the rules again, and there's no sense of real danger, and that's the big problem too. Like, if and that's the big issue I had with Rey being able to heal everybody in episode 9. Right, the fact that means just anybody can come back to life, and there's no stakes. And yeah, I mean, you remember when Luke is battling Vader in Empire Strikes Back? He's getting his ass kicked, and you just know it, and he loses his hand, and it's like, oh my God, our hero is just getting obliterated by Darth Vader. And then he decides that suicide's going to be the best option for him to escape, and he just so happens to be, sucked out of the exhaust tunnels or whatever it was. I mean, but he was going to die, and you felt it, and you felt that emotion and that power. And this one, I mean, they set up the second lightsaber battle of like, all right, let's just all meet on a planet and we'll have a battle. And that's it. There was nothing happened for them meeting. It wasn't like even in Star Wars where Kenobi and Vader, just kind of happened to come together on the Death Star. And it was part of the plot, part of the escape and all that sort of stuff. But this was just like, all right, we got to get them on this planet. So here we go. And we'll just have another fight. That was all it was. It just kind of, it was just poorly put together. I thought the script was really bad, honestly. And oh God, I don't know what they're doing with this fake shaky cam stuff they got going on. The camera, I can just tell, and I've done it myself in video projects where you can add a camera shake and it looks horrific because it looks fake. It absolutely looks fake. And it was so bad. I don't understand why they feel the need that handheld camera shake is the thing that's going to make it feel all real. It was so poorly shot, so poorly staged. It wasn't very good.
What was the deal with the long shots and the lightsaber fights?
In this show?
Yeah, I watched some of the lightsaber fights on YouTube, and it's like you're up close, and then they like pull back for like a long shot, and I'm like, why are you doing that? And then they came back up close, and they'd go back out for this long shot again.
I think it's. I mean, one of the most iconic shots in, I think, all of Star Wars was, Luke basically rage fighting Vader in Return of the Jedi, and there's this great dolly shot of Luke just pounding the crap out of him, right? And it's on a nice wide shot.
But imagine they'd been tracking, and then they like pulled back 100 feet.
Right. Oh yeah. There was it was a weird way of setting up the environment, which I guess we already knew where we were. But the problem is that both fights were all done in the dark.
Yeah.
And that was so bad too. And I'm not sure whether like, oh, cool, we're gonna get these neat lighting effects off the lightsaber. It's gonna look really neat, but it was both fights in the dark, and that doesn't help either. And I don't understand the decision about that fight being in the dark, and then the chase on Tatooine with the Inquisitor sister trying to find Luke on Tatooine, and that was all done in the dark too. Just bleak and boring. So I don't understand it.
Weirdly, I thought the best fight in the whole show was the fight between, I can't remember her character's name, the
I don't remember.
The girl.
Reva.
Reva was okay.
Oh, Reva.
She tries to kill Vader.
Yeah.
That small scuffle between them where Vader doesn't use his lightsaber, he's just using the Force and I thought that was quite exciting. That was quite well.
That was
done.
neat. Yeah.
But
that was neat and new.
But it's not about them. It's about Vader and Kenobi. So that
right.
fight should have been more involving and more kind of exciting than that little thing. But to me, that was the best fight of the whole show. So
I personally thought there was going to be some way they were going to tie into the Clone Wars and some of the stories there and bring back some of those characters and some of the relationships or some of the things that had happened that could have helped inspire Obi-Wan, but the whole story, it felt flat. And the fact that he had an adventure with Princess Leia like 10 years before Star Wars just seems absurd. Absolutely absurd.
and how hard is it for adults to run after a 10-year-old girl and catch her?
It's sloppy film. It was so sloppy. You're right. I saw that and I was like, geez, come on. I mean, it's so poorly staged. And you know what's sad is that Deborah Chow, I think, did some of the best work on The Mandalorian season 1. I was really impressed and I was really cheering for her to get her own show. And I'm glad. I was really happy that she got Obi-Wan. But I don't even think the producers knew what to do with Obi-Wan Kenobi. I personally, I would have just, again, I just don't know why there needs to be a connection with all of these legacy characters, like he has to hang out with Leia and I get the sense of, yeah, he's looking after Luke, which would be kind of cool, but I mean, can't he just be taken away on a separate adventure and we can meet new people and go to new places and then he can run into Vader and that could be just one big surprising battle at the end. That'd be kind of neat, but it was just I mean, and look, and there's nothing wrong with the little girl that played Princess Leia. I thought she was quite charming. But then the fact that Obi-Wan's met Luke again, like before Star Wars, which I thought was weird. I don't understand why they feel the need to just kind of fart around with the story this way, because now we're all like questioning what happened in the movies that we first saw and loved, and we understood the story and the lore, and now it's all just kind of like all up in the air. I mean, you can just basically do anything and everything now, and the explanations make no sense. So, and I'm not saying that this is the first time they've done it. I mean, George Lucas was making mistakes back when he was doing the prequels, but yeah, I'm, again, just Star Wars out. So, which is too bad, because I really wanted to go back and watch the Clone Wars. I haven't watched them all, and I caught a few episodes here and there before I watched Kenobi. And I really liked what I was watching, but now I have no interest in going back and starting that series at all. So, and it looks good. I think it does look good. So, and I like the scores. I mean, there's a question here with Kevin Kiner's music. Some of it was a little weird, some of the modern elements that he adds to it, but it's not as bad as what Holt was doing. I mean, he at least keeps that kind of classic sound. There's legacy themes. It all seems like part of the same fabric with a few, sprinkles of modernism in there. And I like what he did. And I'm glad he's coming back. He's doing another animated series. So I'm really happy that he's getting work.
You're talking about shaky cam. It's a point about shaky camera work. Well, not shaky camera work, but do you remember years ago, maybe in the 60s and 70s, when there was a big explosion in a film or a scene, and then you saw the camera shake from the force of the explosion? You knew during those 60s and 70s films, when there was an explosion, the camera shook. It was genuinely because the camera was shaking because of the force of that explosion.
Right.
And then you see these kind of the digital kind of shutters they put on cameras these days when there's a special effects explosion. It doesn't quite look the same.
Right.
I just think, well, why didn't they just get 300 tons of dynamite and just genuinely have a camera wobble from the force of that explosion? That would have been cooler.
Yeah, it's very true.
I always remember that. I mean, it's like when you see in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, when they use too much dynamite to blow up that thing, and the guy standing in the middle of that was really standing in the middle of a massive explosion. I just miss that danger and lack of thought for stuntmen. Yeah,
two great explosions that match with your description. If you watch the big mine explosion in the Mask of Zorro, they have a whole pile of cameras just set up, yeah. and they're just shaking like mad. And another great one is the explosion of the pirate ship in Cutthroat Island. And there's a wide shot, and you know how far back they are. And when it goes, you can see that camera's just wobbling, and you can, you feel it. I mean, those are two amazing cinematic explosions that I can't believe that. Well, I think they blew up 2 boats because the first take didn't work. So they blew up another one.
But you know they were forceful explosions because
Yeah.
it was made of proper. It was a proper ship. So when you
Yeah.
see all those chunks of wood, you know it is just chunks of wood.
It's glorious. It's one of
Yeah,
my
it
favorite
is.
moments in that movie. It's so great. And I mean, that movie gets dumped on a lot, but man, the stunts and the fact that Gina Davis was doing her own stunts is crazy. That one where she flips, she jumps onto a roof and then flips over and into her seat. I mean, she could killed herself during that carriage chase, and it's all shot in slow motion too, which is remarkable.
I think that there's some visual effects work during that shot where she rolls down and lands in the seat. But for the life of me, I have no idea. You can't see whether there could have been a blend where it could have been.
Maybe I was convinced.
But even if you just frame advance it, it's just perfect.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing.
It is. It fits so well. Those are the type of things that get me excited about stunts in movies and like real car crashes and real car chases. And I mean, when the eye knows when you're seeing something that doesn't, like when the physics aren't working properly, you're just taken out of it. You're like, oh well, that's a special effects shot, instead of oh wow, that's a special effects shot, but it's part of the story, and you're grabbed into the story because of that. Like again, going back to Return of the Jedi, all of that space battle stuff, I still think outdoes anything that's been done in other Star Wars movies with CGI. And I mean, some of the stuff is impressive. I think the Falcon chase in The Force Awakens is pretty fun. And that being all CGI is super impressive, but the artistry behind Return of the Jedi and the practical effects and what they were doing and pushing the boundaries and making those ships fly that the way they never did in Star Wars, and even in Empire Strikes Back, there was an evolution of those effects. And every time I see one of those, I'm in awe. And but it also, and that ramps up the excitement. That's why I can always go back and watch that movie and still feel as excited as I was when I first saw it.
I remember in the 80s on BBC television there was a science program called Horizon, and they did an hour-long show about ILM.
Yes,
and they had great access.
Yes,
but they were going through the shot in Return of the Jedi where I can't remember which effects technician they were talking to, but it was the one that was responsible.
It was Dennis Muren.
Was it?
Yeah.
But the shot where all the TIE fight, they go
like
through
88 ships.
loads of them.
Yeah.
But they were saying, what they had to do, the mats and all this kind of thing, and it was just mind-boggling their work. But then they pointed out where they hadn't caught all of them, and there was an overlap where there were two kind of H's of tiny kind of TIE fighters that overlapped another ship, and they said, we get most of them, but we don't get all of them.
That's right.
And I just love the fact that it's so fast you would never see it until it's pointed out to you where it is. But just when they described the work that went into it, it was just absolutely mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling for me today to think of the work that goes into those shots, considering it's all done in camera. Incredible.
Yeah, there was. I think that's the same documentary where they were talking about matting out Indiana Jones's leg.
That's right, yeah. Because they had to twist the shot slightly to
that
make it fit.
Frame by frame, cutting out his leg, matting it and then putting it into the shot because the green screen effect screwed up somehow, and his leg popped out of the green screen. So it's like in order for them to put the river, which was a ILM creation, behind him, they had to cut out his leg for I don't know how. It literally is like a 2-second shot. But the time it took to do it, man, but that is a great documentary. If anybody can find it, it might be on YouTube. It is amazing. They go through the minecart chase.
And again, that minecart chase, I couldn't believe it when they were saying that it was animated, it was stop frame animation.
Some of it was.
Yep. And I thought, what?
Yep. Or miniatures.
Even today, it looks fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. And they were using stills cameras modified to take 35mm film stock. Incredible. Ooh, what's going on there?
You okay?
We can't hear you, Eric. I
You,
see your lips moving.
he'll be back.
He'll be back. He was sorting out something. Did you ever see that that documentary?
I did not, but now I need to go look it up.
Yeah, it's really, really good because they go through Indiana Jones, Return of the Jedi. They do some stuff on Explorers as well. How they did a couple of effect shots in that. But no, it's great. And the British guy that does the voiceover for it, he calls Darth Vader Darth Vader.
Is that British to say it like that?
I don't know. It's just somebody that had no idea about Star Wars.
Okay.
I think so. He was obviously he was reading the word on a page and he thought, oh, that's obviously pronounced Vader. So yeah.
Well, probably the
Yeah.
people writing Star Wars now don't have much idea about Star Wars either. So
Apparently not. Apparently not. But let's go on to more happy things. More kind of.
yes.
Have you? We were speaking last week about the new Star Trek series. Do you watch the new Star Trek series at all?
I don't have Paramount Plus. I saw some clips
All right.
on YouTube. They were fighting like a foreign ship or something, and they blew it up, and then all these other foreign ships came out, and then the clip was over, and I was like, things are close.
Yeah, but as I told you, I only got Paramount Plus in the UK last week, so I've seen the first 2 episodes, and Eric was right. It's just colourful, spectacular, wonderful stuff. So.
And you like Captain Pike pretty good?
Well, I liked him from when he was first introduced in Discovery, so I think he's excellent. Yeah.
Okay.
So. Yeah. And,
what was the name of the documentary again?
Oh, I can't remember what it was called, but it was the series that it appeared on was called Horizon. I suppose if you type in BBC Horizon ILM documentary, you'll probably get to it, I would imagine. So anybody that wants to look for it, Horizon ILM documentary, or BBC Horizon ILM documentary, I would imagine that will get to it.
Well, exciting news tomorrow from Entrada, Willow.
Yeah, it's definitely tomorrow, is it? Because I kept checking today to see if it went up.
They said 28th. Today's the 27th, is it not?
Oh, okay. So, what time do they usually put them up?
I want to say late in the afternoon, so it'll probably be like tomorrow night for you.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that one's going to be quite popular.
So you're gonna order a copy, definitely.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I had no idea it was in the pipe, but I will gladly swipe the credit card.
No, there's been so many jokes about it. You know, people when new stuff comes out and say, "What about Willow? What about Willow?" But yeah, we're talking about Willow, Eric.
Yeah, that joke's over.
Yeah.
Well, now it's what about sneakers?
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, sorry, there was a call on my phone, so it just completely craps out everything. And yeah, so sorry.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, Willow. It's going to be exciting. I haven't got it yet, but I did see the liner notes, and it's a beast, an absolute beast of a release.
What's the total running time?
Oh, download. Okay.
Is it a 2-disc set? Is it? Do you know?
It's a 2-disc set. It's just the score, so not the original album.
That's okay.
And sorry, I'm gonna open this up now. And the last CD only has 5 tracks. but it's 52 minutes long.
Okay.
It's James Horner's epic long cues. So that's essentially what you're getting. And So yeah, CD2 opens with the concert version of Willow's theme, and then just goes back into the score proper with Canyon of Mazes, Tira's Lean, and then Bavmorda's Spells Cast, which is 18 minutes long, and then Will of the Sorcerer, which is 12 minutes long. Disc 1 ends with the sled ride. So that's the big previously unreleased action cue. It's a massive release. And it's beautifully put together, actually. The liner notes are quite gorgeous. I love the artwork. And I mean, there's not a whole, I mean, there's some interesting information about the instrumentation. Like Horner essentially just threw everything at this. This instrument, that instrument, this, and then he acknowledges that this was a score, you know, based in fantasy. So he tried to incorporate as much of that, the classical music influences into that would best portray that sound of fantasy. And so it's great. I haven't heard, well, I heard there was a previously unreleased track that was released on Tim Burton's Movie Magic show, and I think you can still hear it. It's on SoundCloud, and there should be a link somewhere on Facebook or on Film Score Monthly's message board. The mixing is pretty solid, and this is I mean, anybody that heard the original Willow release, they'll know how just dynamic this recording is. Like, I mean, when it's quiet, it's quiet. When it's loud, it's loud. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what they did with the Escape from the Tavern cue, because there's a portion where once that track explodes, it's just a punch in the gut. So as for the notes, someone kindly sent the PDF to me. So yeah, but not the score yet. I'll get the score tomorrow. So, but yeah, it's I thought, honestly, I mean, I didn't realize how much music there was, but I think there's about a half an hour of music that hasn't been heard yet. And so they've got it released over 2 CDs with 55 minutes and 52-minute running times. So that's
been a little bit more music than that.
I'm trying to see where it says like previously unreleased cues, but I mean, people are complaining because this was released through Omni Publishing, that 1 20-second track is not available.
Oh my god!
So
That's soundtrack collectors, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, the opening's 10 minutes long. There's just a lot of like the Enchanted Forest music. I don't think has ever been released. But that sled ride's going to be exciting. But yeah, it's I think it's everything that everybody wanted. I mean, there's no alternates, there's no anything like that. It's just here's everything except for 20 seconds and go and have fun. So one that was kind of disappointed in, before it was, I thought that they would have Sean Murphy work on this since he recorded it, or Simon Rhodes. Now, Simon Rhodes is in the special thanks, but he is not credited as working on the mastering of it. So Douglas Fake took care of all of that. But Chris Malone was an audio consultant, so he might have helped as well, and he's really good at his job. So, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to hear it tomorrow.
I was kind of hoping for like a 4 or 5 disc set when I heard it was coming out, like legit. I was like, 2 for the complete score, 1 for the original remastered, like a disc of alternates, and like maybe a disc of like interviews or something. That I'm like, that would be like awesome.
Yeah.
But I'll be happy with this.
I mean, it's one of like the great fantasy adventure scores, and I think it's great that we're really finally getting all of it.
Are the end credits on them?
So,
Victor wants to know.
Will Sorcerer, so I think it's exactly the same as
Okay.
what was heard on the original album, which I think is the original end credits, because that then goes into Willow's theme, but it's a different performance of that compared to the concert version. So I mean that's funny because I wanted to play Willow's end credits on my James Horner end credit show, but I wanted to do it in some creative way to have like the opening of the concert suite, but then it transition into the end credits from that one track. So it was because I just didn't want to play it straight through. I forgot what it was. There was a reason why I had to mix and match them, because I went back and watched the movie and I'm like, oh, that sounds a bit different than what was available on the album. So anyway, but yeah, the end credits, we've always had the end credits. So but yeah,
I'm hoping
be...
they use. Sorry, I was just going to say, I'm hoping they use music from the film in the new Willow TV series, Disney Plus's Willow TV series.
And I mean, I'm done with having expectations with television shows, especially stuff that goes through Disney. But you know what? James Horner's not alive to be sitting there and going, you can only use this theme and you'll use that theme. So hopefully the James Horner estate, if they're in charge of any of this, will bless James Newton Howard and allow him to use the previous themes. Pretty sure it's just going to be the original Willow theme, unless what's her face? The little baby. I'm pretty sure she's going to be in this all grown up. So it'd be nice to hear her theme, which is that 4-note repeated figure throughout the score. One other thing that was actually really neat that Tim Burton mentioned was that they actually looked for the Lucasfilm, James Horner's Lucasfilm logo music, which I think was recorded during these sessions, but they couldn't find it. So they wanted to put it on this release, but no, sorry, not Lucasfilm, the THX logo, I think. Oh, what did he say? Hold on, I could be wrong. I hope it's because the THX stuff is really cool. So what did Tim say?
What, are you talking about the Deep Note thing?
No, he does. It's this. It's the one with the conductor. So there's a conductor and it's like, and it's like, and it's really, really fast and neat. And sorry. I was hoping they would have found that terrific Lucasfilm logo music, which Horner recorded at the Willow sessions. Alas, no. So, I'm not sure whether he means Lucasfilm or whether he means THX. So, I'm not sure. I'm wondering when that one came out, the THX one.
For some reason, the other day, I was remembering, it must have been about 1990, or maybe slightly after, 91, 92, going to see a film in Leicester Square in London, which is the kind of main kind of cinema place where they have all the premieres in London. I can't remember what film it was, but it was some Dolby fanfare at the beginning, and it was a helicopter kind of flying over picturesque landscape, but it was Henry Mancini that had done it, and it actually, his credit comes up at the beginning of it, saying Dolby something, and it says Henry Mancini, and it had a name. So
yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I should have looked it up before we came on the show tonight. I meant to. It's bound to be somewhere on YouTube, but I just remember that being really dynamic. And
didn't he record that as part of one of his re-recording albums, or like Mancini and Surround? Wasn't that on there? Maybe not.
It's not very long, I don't think.
No, maybe not. There's, I don't know, but I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. It gave me the same kind of feeling when I first saw the Judge Dredd trailer with the Jerry Goldsmith music on it.
Right.
It just grabs you from the first time you hear it. You think, wow, that's really cool.
Okay, yes. So Henry Mancini's Surround Fantastique, the Dolby Fanfare RCA Victor. So I wonder if this is the same thing that's on this. So I'm watching it right now. So it's the camera flying over the farmers' fields.
Yeah.
Big timpanis, tam-tam.
I'm trying to glean the music from your expression, and it's not working.
Well, I think this is different than Surround Fantastique. Nope, this is it. So it's on Mancini in Surround. It's the opening track.
Mancini in Surround.
Yeah, and it's called Surround Fantastique. Yep. It's called Mancini Surround, mostly monsters, murders, and mysteries.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good album, actually. It has his Rejected Frenzy on there, Mommy Dearest, Arctic Whale Hunt. There's like this creature suite that he did, which is really interesting. He does a suite from The Prisoner of Zenda. Yeah, it's in Nightwing, and it's a really cool recording done with the Mancini Pops Orchestra. So, yeah. But if you look for Dolby Mancini on YouTube, you'll find the piece.
Cool.
Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah. While you were off taking your phone call as well, I mentioned that I'd watched the first 2 episodes of the new Star Trek.
Oh, good. Good.
It's spectacular. It looks absolutely fantastic,
Doesn't it?
It really. You're right about those colors. They just pop off the screen.
Yeah.
They're just incredible.
Yeah.
When I first started watching the first episode, I thought, "Oh, this is a bit grim. Is this what Eric was talking about?" Because Pike's in a bad place, and
Yeah.
it's just. But as soon as they get on Enterprise, it's like, boom, whoa! Look at this.
Yeah, the
It's
colors
fantastic.
are so vibrant.
Yeah.
The special effects seem very special to me,
Absolutely.
at least. And I love the story. Like the second one is it's a neat story because it's all based around music.
Yeah.
But then there's a pretty intense episode coming up, and then my favorite is the Spock Amok episode, which is fabulous.
Well, there's at the moment on the British Paramount Plus, which only became available on the 22nd. There's 3 episodes available. So
Okay.
So the 4th one comes out this Wednesday. So we're behind on the release kind of schedule.
Strange New World episode 4. Yeah, this. Oh yeah, this is a good one. You'll like this one. It's all good. They're all good.
Yeah.
They're all great. Yeah, I'm just waiting to be disappointed, and I haven't been yet. And I'm just so happy that I'm not, and that my expectations for this. Sorry.
Disappointment sucks.
It's disappointment based on the expectation that you have, and I kind of hate that. So that's why I kind of like. I mean, that's so I had no expectations for Strange New Worlds. The only expectation I had was like, hey man, can they do classic Star Trek? Can they just do a classic Star Trek series? Let them do whatever the hell they want to do with Discovery and Picard. They're terrible, but whatever. But let's just do one standalone kind of classic Star Trek that we were getting, back with the original series in TNG and Deep Space Nine, and they're doing it with flying colors. And but episode 4 is pretty freaking intense.
Are they all standalone episodes?
Yeah. There's standalone episodes with great character growth that arches over all of the episodes. So you'll know that like when you see a character and they focused on them on this episode, that eventually is going to come back at some point, but it's not the focus of 8 episodes down the road. And it's not just one grim story where they're kind of trying to figure out one mystery over 10 episodes. Like, these are complete stories that are finished complete, but they might come back at some other time. Much like we see the Borg for the first time in TNG, and you're like, holy smokes, I hope those guys come back. And eventually they do, and they work their way into different stories, and they become special. And, you know, Picard's character grows because of that. And then there's even Riker's character grows. I mean, one of the best examinations of Will Riker's characters in The Best of Both Worlds Part 1. So, yeah.
Speaking of Riker, do you know what was a huge drop ball with Riker, in my opinion, my humble opinion? Remember that episode where he thinks he's being held prisoner by Romulans and everything's like a hologram thing? And then it's not the Romulans, it's a little bug little dude.
Yes.
Who's pretending to be his son. And Riker asks him, like, what's your name? And he's like, Block, or whatever. And he's like, you'll always be John Luke to me. And it's like two to beam up. And he goes back to Enterprise. But where the hell did he go after that?
Right.
He could have been his adopted son for like the rest of the show.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. Riker was a little bug child.
There are many great side characters that probably should have been regular characters. Like Barclay, I always thought was great, and a great character to explore. Barclay. I just kind of wish she would show up just occasionally without being a bumbling in it, and just maybe be there for a scene. Or there was there was one new engineering. I don't think she was a cadet. She was someone new there. But anyway, she's the one that spilled coffee all over Picard at one point. And but she seemed like more of like that kind of like real officer, right? And she was exploring the Enterprise as, you know, a fresh face, and that was kind of neat. And she never showed up again. A lot of these characters just kind of like show up and go away. You know, much like what's her face in Star Trek 4, right? They bring her back from the past, and Kirk never sees her again.
Oh, the this lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, why? Yeah. So that's what's happening. But I'm at least with, I don't think there's any character so far that we've only seen once and we'll never see again. We're seeing different planets, different civilizations, different enemies, and kind of different things that are happening. But again, self-contained, but certain characters are growing through each episode, and that's what's so great. You get to fall in love with this crew, whereas the other ones, it just seems so focused on one or two people. Like I couldn't tell you who's on the crew of the Discovery. I just don't care about any of them. But at least all of these ones, they all seem to be this now. They're getting to be this tight knit group that you root for all of them, and you all like them because of their different personalities, and you don't care who they're going to talk about or feature in the next episode. It's all fascinating.
Yeah, so, I mean, no matter how much I love Star Trek as well, post the original series, they had a tendency to get a bit too earnest, a bit too. It was all about education. It was about exploring, and there was nothing else. Nobody seemed to be having fun in the Star Trek world.
Right.
They didn't have that kind of those exuberant personalities, but everybody speaks like a human in Strange New Worlds. So, you know, they're just a good. I mean, they're obviously professional, good at what they do, and you know, it's all about the job. But they're enjoyable characters as well. They're fun.
You know what I find interesting is that there's numerous complaints about the use of coarse language in Discovery and Picard and all that. And it just seemed forced. There are about 2 occasions where it happens in Strange New Worlds. So I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I would have said. It's much like, you know, where Data finally has emotions and the ship's about to crash and the line with the holy shit or whatever it was, right? And it was like, that's a perfect reaction. It makes sense. It didn't seem forced like every weird thing in those other Treks that they're coming out with. But the couple of times where they swear, and they even do it in the Orville too. I saw it in the Orville and I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. They're cursing it up, but I was like, reevaluating, like, it's what I would have said. Absolutely. Yeah. But you're right. They all talk like normal people. And they all seem like there's relationships that have been there for years, and you can feel it, even though you've just hung out with them for 60 minutes. so good. And then Melomod's score, I think she's doing extraordinary stuff with her scores. It's I mean, there's the only time I think that she kind of dropped the ball was kind of, I think it was episode 2. There's a sequence where Spock is in a shuttle and trying to evade asteroids and things like that, and it really didn't ramp up the excitement for me. But other portions of her score is just so beautiful and so well done, and I'm really happy that she's getting the opportunity to work on these projects. So yeah, but yeah, I'm starting to like revisit. Like I was hate watching Discovery and Picard.
Just hate watching,
yeah, because I didn't want to be that person who's like, this show sucks. Yeah, why? Well, I want to know why it sucked, and I have reasons why it sucks, because I watched the whole thing, much like I hate watched the last 3 seasons of Lost because they were terrible, but compared to the first 3 seasons. So yeah, hate watch is hate watch is something where I will watch a film that I know is really bad. Example, The Avengers with Sean Connery and Uma Thurman and
I
Ray
enjoyed
Fiennes.
that film. I thought it was fun.
Once they got to the meeting with them all dressed up as bears, I'm like, come on. But I wanted to watch it because of
It
McNeely's.
was silly, but it was fun.
Did you see the original series?
No.
I'm not that old.
I was mad. It was absolutely mad. So, yeah, anything goes.
I guess. But I also hate watched the other night Virus with Jamie Lee Curtis and one of the Baldwins and Donald Sutherland. And it was just a B movie romp of utter stupidity. And again, I wanted to hear what Joel McNeely's score was like. And it is so much better than anything that was in that movie. I like the idea. I mean, clearly it was aliens on a Russian ship in the ocean during a storm. I mean, Galen Hurd was one of the producers. But I just want to know what McNeely was doing. And I feel so bad for him because he got stuck with so much crap over his career. And, but yeah, it was just the music's way too good for like the whole Russian chorus thing that he did for that score. I was like, come on, you're wasting your time. But hey, good composers do that.
What was that Charlie Sheen film, parachuting film? Him and Nastasya Kinski.
Oh yeah, the Terminal Velocity.
Terminal Velocity. That had a great Joel McNeely score.
Yeah, this is one of the greatest action. I think it's a great action sequence where the Cadillac freefall. And it's one of the great action cues of all time. That thing never lets up for a moment.
Is the soundtrack readily available for that?
It should be. It's short. It's 30 minutes long, but it's got a wonderful theme. Almost kind of jazzy orchestral. It's really neat, but it has a blistering action cue. I mean, fan-frickin-tastic. It's 5 minutes long, and it is sustained. That energy is sustained for 5 minutes. Do you have Iron Will?
Yes.
Do you have Say the Entrada one as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you have Radioland Murders?
I think so. Was that with the Serbian release?
Yep. No. That was. I can't remember who released it. I'm looking for the albums right now. There's another great one he did. Soldier. Have you heard Soldier?
No.
Because Soldier, that's a Kurt Russell film that came out a couple years before The Matrix. And man, Joel McNeely was already doing Matrix music before The Matrix. It's crazy experimental, crazy good. Experimental recording techniques by Sean Murphy. Like there's portions where it's a tour de force, virtuosic performance by the brass. You want to hear brass do stuff right? Listen to this. There's points where brass are doing these chirping like 16th notes, and they go from one speaker to the next speaker to the other speaker and around you and all that sort of stuff. It's like you freak out. You're listening to it, and it's got this really strong militaristic sound about it, and it's super close mic in your face, like compared to what Sean Murphy normally does. This one's just boom right there, and it's a super fun score. Very Goldsmithian, super powerful. I highly recommend that one. I'm looking for my McNeely stuff. Oh, there it is. Oh. Okay. The gem that you want to find is come on. There they are. All right. You wouldn't expect this to have great adventure score, but it is amazing. It truly is. Gold Diggers, The Secret of Bear Mountain. It has got this awesome Celtic cue called The Legend of Molly Morgan. Full 90-piece orchestra just doing this Celtic piece. And then there's this huge French horn sweeping adventure piece that this alongside the Edge, they would be brothers. So this one, again, very short, but it has a recording done by Jeff Foster, who recorded McNeely's re-recording of Vertigo. So if you know what Vertigo sounds like,
yeah,
that's how good this sounds. So it's 11 tracks of score, and then there's a song. But it's great action, great adventure, a highly underrated score. Another one that's really solid, and it might be out of print, is this one. Actually, I'm going to bring two out. Actually, I'm lying. I'm going to bring 3 McNeely scores, and if you don't have them, you should highly recommend getting them. One, first of all, you want action adventure, and a cue that essentially rips off James Horner's The Launch from Apollo 13, but really makes it own for Marshall Flies the Skybolt, Wild America. Now, there was an issue with the recording of this score for some reason. It was recorded with the Northwest Symphonia Orchestra in Seattle. It was recorded and mixed by Sean Murphy. It was recorded at Bastyr University. I've been there. That's where Michael Giacchino recorded his Medal of Honor scores. You can't screw up the sound of that place. It's beautiful. But for some reason, something happened. Mastered by this guy named Hank Waring. And it's... you can tell they screwed up because there's a note here, which says, for ultimate listening experience, keep your bass and treble controls at 0. I'm like, what? So I don't know if you can read.
Okay.
There it is, right there. I'll put right there. Focus. There it is. Something happened. This score sounds terrible. But it's fun. I mean, it's, again, you can adjust EQ settings to make it sound good, but there's just something wrong with it. But it's a 44-minute score, and it has one of McNeely's career-making action cues. Again, sounds a lot like The Launch from Apollo 13, but only kind of inspired by it, but really sounds like Joel McNeely. Another sweet score. It's probably out of print because it came from Entrada. A 1992 score, one of his earliest scores. Sweet one called Samantha. It's really, really lovely. A lot of classical influences. There's Haydn and Mozart and Dvorak, things of that sort. But there's a small little McNeely score, which is really, really, really lovely. But the creme de la creme, I think I might have mentioned it before, but I think this is Joel McNeely's best score of all time. Great dramatic score. Engineered by Jonathan Allen, who did a lot of Perez Saraban's re-recordings. Lover's Prayer. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I put this on my best of the New Millennium countdown, and my new millennium starts in 2000. So up yours if you think it's 2001. And this was recorded at Abbey Road. Beautiful piano nocturne at the end. It's the best thing he's ever done. It's just warm and romantic and dramatic and beautiful. Varese Sarabande Records. Highly recommend those three from McNeely. Yeah, absolutely.
You do know Payday's not till the 10th, and I just got back from DC, right?
Well, you can still enjoy them. I'm pretty sure they're out there on YouTube somewhere or streaming. But I mean, yeah. I would highly recommend giving Lover's Prayer a go. I mean, I don't know if you can find Wild America might be difficult. That's a Prometheus album, so I don't know how many copies they made of it, but it's too bad it sounds the way it does, because it's an extraordinary adventure score. So yeah, it's interesting. These advertisements for Soundtrack Magazine on the back. I eventually became a subscriber of Soundtrack Magazine, but wow, look how young McNeely looks. Holy smokes.
Wow.
How old is he now?
Much older. When was he born?
1912.
Then you do the math. Let's see. He's born 1959, but he looks very, very, very different. That's for sure. But yeah, what a fun score. Very fun. And this is just, I think he's just coming off of Air Force One. This is 97. So yeah. And then there's Soldier, which I think also need to put on your list. I'm sure you should be able to find that on Spotify and listen to it. Do I have it? Oh yeah. Soldier's fun. I love an expanded release of this. There was some previous unreleased cues on Joel McNeely's website. Super short.
Yeah, I thought I bought Lover's Prayer. I do have it. So
oh, do you?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So Soldier, this is 8 tracks long. Man, remember when you used to get these and buy them and they're like $30 and you're like, that's it? They're just the old plain old Varese 90s releases, right? You know, color insert in the back. I bet you it's black and white in the middle. What do you want to say? What do you want to bet? Black and white in the middle? With nothing?
Yeah, just
yeah,
pictures.
Boom, that's it.
They were consistent.
They were consistent. I remember when they used to just have like they never didn't have any like art for their discs.
Yeah.
They were just silver. But this one, if you ever get a chance to listen to The Final Battle, holy cow. So there's EVI and synth in this along with electronic percussion. And but it's one of Sean Murphy's most unique recordings. Just super upfront and really powerful. Yeah. McNeely's music for Dark Angel. You know what? I did see that somewhere. As a promo, I think. I could be wrong.
Dark Angel, a TV show?
Yeah. And I think I got it around the time I do have Dark Angel.
He did work on Indiana Jones Chronicles as well.
Yes. So those 4 albums are super hard to find as well. But I would love for It's Never Gonna Happen for a 5th volume with some of Frederick Talgorn's music. I forgot which episode it was, but I'm not sure. Did anybody else write music for that series?
Joe McNeely, Lawrence Rosenthal.
Yeah,
Um,
I know. So Talgorn did, but did Steve Bramson write anything for Young Indiana Jones? I could be
Ian,
wrong.
do you have the Young Indiana Jones soundtracks?
I don't. Sorry, no.
No.
No, sorry. Sorry, I was just looking up Apple Music to see what Joel McNeely stuff they've got.
Okay,
they've got quite a few. Sorry.
Trail of the Peacock's Eye was written by Steve Bramson. He has 3. Oh, let's see if they work. He has 3 cues on his website, including a really long 4.5-minute track that's called Finding the Treasure. So he scored it for a 65-piece orchestra and recorded in Hungary. So he did that one, and then Frederick Talgorn did an episode. Who's God, one of my favorite composers. He's incredible. So he did Trenches of Hell. And the soundtrack is on YouTube? What? Samples from the episode scored by Talgorn. Originally aired 2 separate episodes. 1916. Wow.
Do you have the soundtracks for Young Indiana Jones, Eric?
Yeah. I got them really cheap when Vrez offered me a promo discount when, oh God, how many years ago was that? I don't know. But they're like, hey, if you want any of our back catalog, we'll send it to you, but you just have to pay $4 for them. I'm like, okay.
Check.
Yeah. Yes, the box. My God, it was like this. It was huge ass box. There was 25 albums in there, and they included Medicine Man, which I bought initially and listened to it and sent it back to. I bought it at HMV, and at the time they used to let you return albums after 7 days. And so I listened to them like, this sucks. I want my money back. I'll get something else.
You like Medicine Man?
I hated it. Again, expectations. I listened to that first cue and I'm like, what the hell is this? But then again, fairly new to soundtracks. So this is 97, 98. I've only been really collecting since 95, 96. I didn't have a lot. So I had an expectation as to what Goldsmith's sound was. And again, I'm still exploring his catalog and Horner's catalog and everything like that. So I didn't know that he wrote in this style. And so I thought Medicine Man, I remember seeing the trailer for it and it must be a grand adventure. And yeah, I didn't even get to the trees and I'm like chucking it out. So years later, I got this opportunity. So I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Throw it $4, throw it in. Might as well have it. And include other stuff like Mr. Baseball and Love Field and all those other ones that were just, I had a whole pile of them at Dolores Claiborne and Article 99 and other stuff that I didn't have. So it was just a wonderful day when I got that. But yeah, I threw Medicine Man in and I'm like, wait a minute, this is actually really good. So, and it turned out to be one of my favorites. So it happens. It happens. But yeah, the Young Indiana Jones were part of that box.
Okay. Do you think Medicine Man's got a certain John Barry vibe to it?
Oh yeah,
big style.
Yeah, that one and
I got into a flame war with someone in the comment section on YouTube about it. That's right, Cooper. That's right.
He agrees. He's like, damn right.
Someone commented that it's like it was Jerry Goldsmith doing John Barry. And I was like, what? And I went and I listened to it. I'm like, you're right. And I came back and I said, yeah, I hear it. I hear what you mean. And then someone else was like, no, you guys are just stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, okay, well, it sounds kind of like something John Barry might have wrote for an African movie or something. But
yes,
And he just kept going on, egging both of us on, saying we were stupid. And I was just like, okay, whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to change your mind, you know.
No, and you're not wrong. I mean, it's not him doing John Barry, but it just sounds like that sweeping John Barry sound with the strings and the underlining brass, and it's great. I don't know why people get upset about that, but it's it's like Polydorus's Farewell to the King, which I always thought was one of the best John Barry scores, not written by John Barry. That and Last of the Dogmen by David Arnold. It's just like, you thought that John Barry wrote that score, but yeah, I got no problem with those type of influences. I mean, especially with John Barry. My God, I mean, at least it's done in earnest instead of like parodying him the way they do on those James Bond knockoffs, right? It's just taking that beautiful style of his for dramatic pictures and making it work. So yeah, I love Medicine Man now. So
are we getting an expanded score anytime soon?
I would hope so, and I don't think it should be too expensive to do since that was recorded in London. So that would be nice, but I'm still waiting for Sphere. I'm sure Sphere's got to come out at some point. But that might just be a headache with 2 different recording venues and Elliot Goldenthal, who knows. But Medicine Man would be lovely. Like 13th Warrior.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a beefy album anyway. I don't know how much more is on there, but I'm sure Goldsmith fans would just lap up everything. I'm trying to think of other ones that would be great to expand that came out through Varese.
Leviathan?
Yes. Yes. See, and that would probably, I mean, how do you sell that?
You put it up
the
on
other
the
thing is,
website.
who owns that movie? That's the other thing. I think that's what's holding things up. Some of these production companies are the ones that would say no, or they're almost impossible to get in touch with to get the rights for these soundtracks. That's why some of them aren't released, because you never know where the rights go, which is why I think there was issues with Slipstream when that came out, and something Perseverance missed. They missed a detail in the licensing, and so that's why that became an official bootleg, because it wasn't properly licensed. Well, the thing is, it was a legit release, and they thought they had everything. Like, it wasn't them just being jerks about it and then releasing something. I mean, that's why, I mean, when it came out, I remember all of the record label heads going, whoa, how did you do this? Because they have all been trying to release Slipstream forever. Kendall was trying to, Douglas Fake was trying to, I know Mikkel Carlson looked at it at one point, and they just said it was next to impossible to release. So when it finally was released, Kendall got upset, really upset. And I'm not sure whether you can see his reaction to it, because he gives details about why it's not a legit release. And him and Robert Estermeyer, I think it's the person, they go into a bit of a heated war of what was done and what wasn't done. And so it's fascinating. I tell the tale during one of my shows, like a hidden gems show I did, which I opened up with Slipstream. So I tell the story, I condense it, and I don't think we're ever going to see it. But anybody that got the copy, although, I don't know if you guys remember, do you remember where after it was found out to be like a bootleg, that people were actually destroying their copies? Because they were like, oh, well, it's a bootleg, I don't want to own this. I'm like, what are you doing? Are you mad? Like, it's a collector's item. That's what I mean, it is. I don't know if you can classify it as a bootleg, because I don't think the intention was to do it as a bootleg. It was intention to be legitimately released. They just screwed something up, a detail. I mean, it's enough of a detail to get a cease and desist and to stop the release from going forward, but why would you destroy that album? It sounds amazing. It looks amazing. It's beautiful.
I mean,
So-
if the case was that that whoever released it thought they were doing a legitimate release, and then there's some legal wrangling that says right, no, stop, that's it. If you've got a copy of that, you must be thinking, wow, I'm going to get this framed, put it in a safe, or this is mine now. Nobody's getting it back. Destroy it? Oh, no.
Cooper wants a copy.
I mean, Cooper, you want Slipstream or a treat? I know it's, I don't know, maybe people have this, moral code that they can't own anything that isn't 100% legit. I don't know. But I mean, I've got it, and I am so happy to have it. It's like one of my prized CDs. And do you have it, Daniel?
No.
Can you look and see how much it's worth on Discogs?
Yeah. Hang on one second.
I mean, it's so maddening that this thing didn't work out to be as legit released, because it is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at this cover. It's lovely. It's beautiful. Everything's so very professional, and I mean, I've seen some bootlegs that look this good too.
We're talking about
I mean,
Elmer Bernstein Slipstream original motion picture soundtrack.
correct.
CD album, limited edition, Perseverance Records.
Yep, 11 tracks. I mean, it's London Symphony. The whole booklet is beautiful with these beautiful essays, and like Robin Esterheimer talks about how he managed to get this released. So the album that almost never happened, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no. And then Randall D. Larson writes about it.
Okay, can you show me that cover one more time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing here.
I think there were bootlegs out there that almost look similar, but yeah, this one, and then it has that as the back. And then it has the credits on the back of it.
I found a
There's
couple here.
one from, it's called Label Earth.
No, that's
It's
big.
listed as a promo.
No, there was never a promo for this.
It's got 13 tracks.
Yeah, I found that Perseverance one on Discogs, and there's a guy in Switzerland selling it for the equivalent of £45. There's one from the States for $39.99, so $40 or $60, $62, $75. Yeah. So it's you can still get it, but
yeah, the things they had to do to get this released, like going through the Elmer Bernstein estate, then going through a couple people at USC. That was just to find it. The people at USC had 10-inch reels of the music that was in their Bernstein collection, so it's still there. Then the Cinematic Arts Library, that the reels represented the music as Bernstein had envisioned for the soundtrack album. So this is the soundtrack album reels and not the recording session. So whether there's more out there, I don't know. But this is what Bernstein wanted to release at the time.
I must admit, I've only ever seen the film once.
I've seen bits and pieces of it, yeah. But it's a glorious score, recorded with the London Symphony. It sounds great.
I'll say this: if everyone watching the stream right now bought a copy that's on Discogs, there would be no more copies on Discogs.
Why?
Because there's only like 9 copies on Discogs, and we've got 9 people watching.
And the prices are reasonable?
For right now, but if we all rush the market.
Like, seriously, this is, oh man, epic, like 1989 film music.
Okay, Eric. Okay, I'll buy it. Okay.
It's just too bad there isn't. It wasn't a 100% real. And I don't promote bootlegs. I just don't consider this a bootleg. This is almost like those promos that were released. Like Entrada used to produce promos, and other composers used to produce promos, and that's kind of the way I feel, because they did everything that they thought they were doing right to release it, unlike other bootleggers who just grab what they can, package it up, and sell it, and nothing goes back to anybody. I mean, a lot of work was put into this to do it legit, and I feel really bad for Robin. So yeah. All right, what do we got for time? Okay, 4 o'clock. Do we have any other things we want to chit chat about?
Do you know we were talking the other week about Steven Spielberg, and his early films were kind of were brilliantly photographed, and the way he composed images and things.
Right.
Over the weekend, I watched The Untouchables.
Mm-hmm.
Brian De Palma. Now, Brian De Palma knows how to frame a shot, and there are just some stunning shots in Untouchables. They've obviously built a set, then put the camera like 30 feet out of the set so they can get the full. So it's like watching a stage play.
Yeah.
You think it would look wrong, it would look false, but it just looks absolutely. With that Panavision ratio, just that framing of those shots looks absolutely stunning. Just wanted to say that, and I had a lovely score by Ennio Morricone as well.
Yeah, he really knows. He definitely knows how to shoot, and I always thought that's one of the reasons why I consider the first Mission Impossible film to still be the best. It has not saying that John Woo's movie doesn't have a distinct style. It does, but it does. But De Palma's style, framing, shooting, and editing fits Mission Impossible. John Woo just made an action film, and it just so happened to be under the Mission Impossible banner.
Yeah.
But there's something about De Palma, and I don't think there's any other films in the series where you're like, wow, that definitely has a distinct style and feel to it. Even though we got, J.J. Abrams was on 3, Brad Bird, I really don't know what his style was because he mostly worked in animation. We have Requari working on the other ones, and they all seem to be rather standard, even though they're very exciting and they're good movies. But, the framing of the conversation with Tom Cruise and the other MI agent in that restaurant, with the big fish tank. I mean, he's like, all right, we're gonna shoot it as if the camera is like on your knees. We're just gonna shoot up, canted angle, but that adds so much tension and style to the film, and I just love the way that he shoots. Even the action sequence at the end just didn't seem like it was like the production company shooting it. It still felt like, Brian De Palma shooting that movie. It's a very distinct style, and if you do know what De Palma style is like, it's unmistakable to see it Mission Impossible. And so I thought it was amazing that they got him to do that kind of genre picture, and I love it for that. I just love the way that film looks. It's so great. It's so very European. Something European about it. Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was a fan of De Palma before Mission Impossible, and so when I heard that they were doing a Mission Impossible film with Tom Cruise and Brian De Palma was directing, I just thought, whoa, I knew it was going to be good because it's going to be a Brian De Palma film, and it was a Brian De Palma film, but it just had to be a Mission Impossible film as well.
Yes, and that's what I think. That's what you want from your directors.
And I was quite surprised by the score as well, because I was used to Danny Elfman being Batman, Danny Elfman, Beetlejuice, whatever. That just Danny Elfman. I was expecting that, and that's not what I got. I got something. They kind of it turned me around with my thinking with what Danny Elfman can do with the score. It was
Have you heard
quirky.
the
It was
Silvestri score?
the what score?
The Alan Silvestri score for the film?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard his a version of his Mission Impossible theme, but I haven't heard any of the other.
It's on the YouTube.
If you've heard Eraser, the kind of guitar rock Eraser music, it's essentially what Mission Impossible turned into. So I'm pretty sure that he didn't want to use the Mission Impossible theme. And also there was rumors that John Williams was going to score it, but he wanted to use his own themes as well. So I think there was that rumor out there that John Williams was considered. But then he said no. And then Silvestri was brought on board. He scored it. It just sounded way too modern and out of touch. And then Danny Elfman, again, much like Brian De Palma, getting kind of like what the style of Mission Impossible is all about. You know, that spy picture that the rest of them just turned into action films. Danny Elfman understood the sound. And so he took that Lalo Schifrin sound, but incorporated it into a Danny Elfman sound with his special brand of synthesizers and percussion. And it's so very distinctively the Danny Elfman, and I love it. It's also the ironic love theme, I think, is just fantastic. The action sequence at the end, it's absolutely brilliant. His use of Schifrin's theme right at the end of it, where the helicopter blade almost slices Tom Cruise's throat, and just a dun 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 dun. It ends just right there as it stops.
Yeah.
It's just, even his recording of the theme, I think, is my favorite recording. Again, Sean Murphy recording it, and I think that was having. There was an interview with Sean Murphy talking about the differences in recording style, and he said Danny Elfman was one that really made him change his style just for that picture. And again, talking about close mic, really upfront, punchy sound. So he did that for Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible is super like tightly mic'd. Every instrument just seems to have its own microphone, and it doesn't have that room presence that Sean Murphy's kind of known for, for his scores for John Williams and James Horner and James Newton Howard. So yeah, he was talking about how Elfman was just insistent about the close miking, which was just something strange for Sean Murphy, but it sounds incredible. And I think it's my favorite film. It's my favorite score. And Rogue Nation is like Mission Impossible is like my 1A. Rogue Nation is my 1B. Same with Kramer's original score, which I think is a masterpiece. And it was disgusting what happened to him and not being called back for Fallout. So yeah, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, I must admit, I remember going to see that first Mission Impossible, and the kind of the opening scene of the first kind of mission they do, and he said, "Did we get him? Yeah, we got him." Yeah. And then the theme kicks in for the first time, and I wasn't expecting that there. I thought, it's a film, it might hear it at some point, and then they have a title sequence with that, and it's a really beefy version of it, but still very much Lalo Schifrin's theme. They haven't really changed it much, but they've just made it right for a film version.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I remember, it's one of those, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and you feel yourself smiling. You think, yes,
absolutely,
this is what I want.
I agree. I also love the title sequence because it felt like the television show, right? Yeah. It also had scenes from stuff that you haven't seen already, and I love the way that whole opening sequence is. But then it just went absolutely ass backwards for number 2. I never hated a movie more than Mission Impossible 2. And I tried watching it again, and I'm like, oh my god, how did you go from 1 to 2? Like, just, I don't understand how that happened. They righted the ship with number 3 because I think 3 is extremely strong. So is 4. Yeah. Rogue Nation's fantastic. Fallout was all right. I'm just kind of getting sick and tired of the action-packed versions of these movies. I just kind of wish they went back to Mission Impossible. You know, that wasn't just like the cool standalone set pieces where they're infiltrating buildings and the new tech and all that. So that James Bondy type of feel to it. I always thought that was way more exciting than any of the action sequences. So, I mean, there's only like one action sequence in Mission Impossible, right? That's it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a suspense break-in sequence at Langley, which I wouldn't really call it. Well, I suppose it is an action, but it's just so intense. But action-wise, you know, there's a car gets blown up at the beginning and some people die, but you can't get any better than that. To me, that it's only about 4 or 5 minutes. The Channel Tunnel scene at the end with the helicopter in the tunnel, but it's stupendous.
Yeah,
it's absolutely thrilling. And when the theme kicks in again, just at the right time.
Yeah.
When he jumps from the, you know, and your mouth is just wide open when he jumps from the train onto the helicopter anyway.
Yep.
And then the theme kicks in. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Super. I'm right there with you. It's exactly. I remember seeing in the theater. That was one of the years where I think I went and saw everything with my buddy because we had nothing else better to do on a weekend, and we'd go see movies Fridays and Saturdays and see anything and everything that came out, and that was incredible movie. So, yeah, and I love the score. I mean, Danny Elfman, I think, said that was one of the most difficult scores he's ever had to work on. Again, because of the short amount of time he had to write it. But again, it just sounds distinctly Elfman.
Yeah.
In that Schifrin style, and I love it. And he's the only one that's done it that way. The only one, with the exception of Kramer. Kramer slowly goes back to that kind of Elfmanish style, but it's more grand in the symphonic terms. Giacchino tries, but again, Giacchino's Mission Impossible 3 is just like full throttled action for most of it. And I mean, it's extraordinary writing. I think that's one of his finest scores as well. But Elfman's the only one kind of has that typical Mission Impossible spy feel to it, which I loved. And I think Balfe tried, but it didn't really come off that well. So, yeah. I don't know where these films are going. I mean, I'm hoping they're done after the next 2. But we'll see.
Have they started filming? Because they were going to do 2 back to back, and then they just concentrated on one. Have they started doing the one that was supposed to follow it, or have they changed
no
tack?
Idea.
I don't know what's going on.
I'm sure COVID screwed things up.
I think the first one's in the can at this point.
Close to it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm going to go see it for sure. I mean, they're big action spectacles, but I kind of wish we went back to that. Well, who knows? I mean, they're bringing back. God, what's his face? What is his name? The character from the first one.
Kittredge.
Yeah, that's right. Who I thought he was great in that. He was great in Clear and Present Danger. You know,
he has the best line in Clear and Present Danger, whether in the Oval Office and discussing this guy who's been murdered but had links to the cartel. And the president was saying, "Oh, he was a friend of mine. I almost went into business with him." And Kittredge, I can't remember the actor's name. He's just sitting there and kind of grins and he goes, "That'd have been good." It just goes by just quickly, but I always chuckle when that comes up.
But I think he was, you know, going up against Harrison Ford, like those scenes where they shared together. I thought he was even more powerful than Harrison Ford, but Harrison Ford was playing that really well too, because he wasn't playing like the superhero Jack Ryan, although eventually near the end it seemed that way, but he just seemed very vulnerable, like, you know, out of touch, you know, when they're searching through the computers. And
that whole suspense scene with the computers.
You got one of these? Oh, you don't.
Yes.
Yeah. That whole scene is just great.
Yeah.
As a suspense scene.
Yes.
Just trying to get paper in the printer. I think, what? They're trying to.
Agreed.
It's so exciting.
And Horner scores it brilliantly. It's another one of his I think it's a ticking block kind of conspirators type cue, but it's just there's always additional instrumentation coming in, and he ramps it up to the end, and you're just Yeah, it's almost like the Playtronics break-in in Sneakers, right? You know, they're moving like 2 inches a second, and Horner's just like writing this crazy action music that's just ramping up the tension. So he was so good at that. But yeah, I mean he was Clear and Present Danger. I think that's an underrated movie, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, Patriot Games is fantastic. But I think Clear and Present Danger, oh geez, man, that whole ambush sequence is one of the finest things I've ever watched in the cinema. And even the scoring is great. Like there's some weird stuff that Horner's writing for that sequence. And but it's interesting. Did you get a feeling that, I mean, when you heard for the very first time Jerry Goldsmith's Universal Fanfare, did you ever get a feeling that it might have been copied from Horner's Clear and Present Danger opening? I always got that feeling. The way that it starts with the snares.
Do you know what? Not until now, but now.
I keep hearing it now. I'm like, oh my God, that's the Universal Fanfare. And he changed it. Horner, though, changed it. There's a film version of it that doesn't sound like it, but on the album, the original version sounds like the Universal Fanfare, but Clear and Present Danger came first. So I always felt, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's not the case, but it does sound like it. I wonder if you guys can hear it. Clear, come on. Where are you? Clear and Present Danger. Let's see if I can play it loud enough. I always thought that sounded like Universal. But he changed it. And I think is the opening track of this one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Somber. What a recording, though. Oh my God, that sounds so good.
Yeah.
And I remember getting finally that finale action piece on the Entrada version. Holy goodness gracious me. Horner really did a great job with this score. It is so good. But yeah, I always thought that sounded like Universal. Maybe he was. No, I was just thinking like it was later. I mean, it was like Horner was mad that Goldsmith took over. But yeah.
Well, Mark wants to know if anyone's getting the Scarface score from La La Land.
I have it, but I'm not a fan of Scarface.
I like the film, but I'm not a fan of the score.
Yeah, I never really liked the movie, and I never really thought the score was. I don't remember it, so I have it, but I don't know if I will ever listen to it. But a lot of people really love it, and that's great. I'm glad it's out there for them. So yeah.
All I know about Scarface is the little meme pictures on the internet. So
yeah. And there's some gruesome death scenes in it, but I just never really. It's a little slow for me. I don't know why, but I don't know what I expected from that movie, but it wasn't. I mean, I saw it maybe 10 years ago, so I didn't see it when it came out, obviously, but
it's probably a good thing.
Yeah. But maybe if I saw it like earlier, I might have had a greater appreciation for it. But then I saw the whole thing, I'm like, okay. But the fact that the end sequence was either conceived or directed by Steven Spielberg is quite fascinating. So
what?
Yeah, Spielberg helped out with that whole shootout. From what at least I think so. From what I heard, I could be completely wrong, but let's see if I can. Here are the facts. Directed a short scene during. According to Vogue, Steven Spielberg directed a short scene in Scarface during the raid on Tony Montana's house at the end of the movie. The part that Spielberg shoots is the low-angle shot of when the attackers are coming into Tony's house while using grappling hooks. So he had a little sequence.
Grappling hooks are awesome.
Yeah. And Spielberg is so good with grappling hooks as well. So
Still ninjas.
it's no surprise that they called him in for that.
Well, wasn't the whole lightsaber battle right at the end of episode 3, where they're on those lava platforms? I heard that was a Spielberg thing.
I think Spielberg actually worked on storyboard or the kind of the animatic storyboards for the whole chase on Utapau with General Grievous.
Oh, okay.
You know, and with that vehicle that General Grievous is on.
Yeah.
But I think it was on the original DVD release, or it may have been. It's on one of the releases. It has all the computer generated animatics, and it's a huge long scene. It goes on for something like 12, 13 minutes or something like that. So Spielberg designed it as just a massive action set piece, which George Lucas said, no, I think we should make it about a minute and a half.
Right.
So I think it was a gigantic thing.
Yeah, there was mention here with J.W. Rinsler, who did the making of Revenge of the Sith. By the way, if you don't have any of his books, please go and get them.
I've got loads of his books.
Jeez. So, I mean, I still, you know what? I'm going on vacation for 5 weeks. Maybe I'll bring one of the Star Wars ones and get through them. I got through the Indiana Jones one, which is like, man, the fact that he put 4 films into that one giant book, he probably could have done all 4 separately. But I got the Star Wars ones I still have to go through. And then when I get through that, I'm going to buy his Aliens or Alien and Aliens versions. And then does he do a couple other ones?
He did Planet of the Apes.
Oh, wow.
I think, which is yeah, Alien, Planet of the Apes. I've got all the Star Wars ones.
Do you have those, Daniel?
I don't. What's the author's name?
J.W. Rinsler.
J.W. Rinsler.
He passed away recently from cancer, but he did the most exhaustive work on the making of these movies. Like, I mean, if you look at these books.
Did he write that Blade Runner book?
Which one?
The Blade Runner book. That's like
he might have. He might have done Blade Runner as well. But yeah. Okay, so you got Star Wars. I got Jedi.
Making of Star Wars, and they are substantial books. They are heavy books.
They got pictures.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
they got pictures.
Okay.
Look at this stuff.
I like that cover for Empire.
There's hundreds of.
Yeah. You can see there's pictures in there, just loads and loads and loads of them.
Look at this one. Look at this. This is just one. This is 2 pages. So this is them on the set where the cut scene after the Rancor, or no, after the Sarlacc pit. So that's just them waiting around. So there's right there beside an X-wing. So Luke's X-wing, and then there's Leia sitting there with the Falcon. And I mean, that's just one page. That's just 2 pages of this book. All these, but the detail that they go into, like it, they spend maybe the first 50 pages just on quoting. Oh, that's beautiful. God, I could get those next. Like just quoting Kasdan and Lucas's discussions before script writing about what Vader's motivations are, the doubts about the Death Star and whether to use it or not, the problems with revenge. I mean, that's the story of Anakin. I mean, that's all these. There's green pages that go through just conversations.
I could get that Planet of the Apes book for Boomer for Christmas. He'd probably like that.
Yeah, they're not cheap, but they are.
What is cheap in life besides a tender date?
Yeah, but I mean, for what they are and what every bit of Star Wars trivia you could ever want And the pictures, I mean, they rated LucasArts. Like even, oh my God, they got Struzen's, holy shit. I think there's stuff in here that isn't even Struzen's book. Struzen's concepts. Check this one out. That would have been awesome.
Cool.
And then there's that one. And then there's that one, which Struzen eventually used for Shadows of the Empire. And then, of course, there's the classic one. But they go through like the marketing, and they show you all the matte paintings, comic books, just, I mean, any picture and every picture they ever took. I mean, oh my God, look at this. Oh, geez, I wish I could get this framed. This is the matte painting from inside the hangar. Remember that shot?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So yeah, there's 3 of these books.
Okay.
They're just enormous.
Another one of my pride and joys, book-wise.
That's the ILM book.
Is the
Yeah.
ILM book.
Yes.
I would go to the bookstore back in the day and just look at that. And of course, it was sealed in plastic. And I would just like fondle it and like wonder what's inside. But it was.
I think I looked at that one. Yes,
And
those
then there was
ones
a
were like,
follow-up book.
oh my God, I wanted those so bad, and I can never afford them.
And then there was a further follow-up book,
Oh my God,
The Art of Innovation.
are they big ass books too? Like,
Oh, yeah.
oh my God, look at them. Oh man.
Yeah, you can smell them as well.
Yes, I was noticing that too while I was flipping through them. Like, there's this very distinct smell.
But yeah, they go through different decades. This goes all the way up to Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I think I have
Terminator
one.
Salvation.
I think I have one that's just the props from Industrial Light and Magic.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I do.
It's
Somewhere.
just Star Wars, and it's Star Wars, Indiana Jones, but then they have some like Willow and Howard the Duck and a few other things.
The Star Wars Archives. That one.
Yeah, that's different than it's. I have one that's like Industrial Light and Magic.
Oh right, okay.
It's on a bookshelf downstairs.
Oh, maybe I don't then. Oh.
Yeah, and it's
I'm
just
crushing.
props.
Yeah, this covers the Star Wars Archives, really, but it includes Indiana Jones. That's what it says on the book, actually.
That's funny. I'm gonna have to get going soon, but is there any pressing film music questions out there, or anything else you guys want to talk about?
I just want to say something real quick. Someone left a comment on my post-mortem video, and I don't think he understood why I made the video. And I thought I was clear.
Oh, really? I'm gonna go take a look at this.
But
Crystal.
no, I wasn't incoherent or vague, or I was pretty concise.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You were.
Okay.
So what did this guy say? Okay, I'm actually gonna read it. Let's see. Where is he? This guy named Eric Wood said, "Sorry about your awful experience," but is this the guy you're talking about?
I think his name was. He's got a British sounding name.
John Redshaw. Yes,
sure.
that was him.
Well,
Yeah.
let's dox everyone.
His name is there.
That's true.
I've been to great orchestral concerts, good concerts and poor concerts, but I've never screamed and ranted over a concert. I walked away dissatisfied, sometimes angry over distraction. But as you know, I'm not going to get the same results from each one. I know I'm never going to get a great performance from each one. Right to the orchestra management, don't complain to the ushers. They aren't up there playing the trombones. Okay, fair. But dude, you spent money to fly out to
A
Washington
lot of money.
to go see a gala concert dedicated to the great John Williams, and it turns out to be an absolute flop. Yeah, I mean, yelling at the ushers, I don't know. I don't know what the hell they could
I
do.
did not yell at the usher. I did not yell at the usher. Said,
But I can understand. I can understand. I mean, in the moment, you're upset. I get it. I get it totally. It's like, but it's, but I can understand why you. I mean, you just did a review on YouTube. I mean, it's your feelings, it's your opinions, and so be
and,
it.
yeah,
So,
and that was my comment to him. I said, I would have made a video if the concert was awesome, lukewarm, or horrible. Either way, it was getting a review because regular viewers wanted to know how the concert was. So I'm leaving a review.
yeah, and I think that's completely fair. I was actually quite impressed with one, the length of the video and how coherent you were. And I think everything you said, all of your analogies, all of your examples, I got it. And I also want to hear more of this version of Daniel go through like
I don't want
reviews.
to get that ever again.
I don't want him upset, but I think you're actually really interesting to watch. And as much as it's great to see you getting all your soundtracks and your stuff like that, but I think it would be great if you started expanding and maybe doing like reviews of soundtracks that you like and talking about them, or maybe things that you don't like or whatever, like make more expanded longer form videos. Because I watched it and I'm like, oh man, it's 36 minutes long and I really gotta go to bed. But I watched the whole damn thing. I was up, I'm like, wait, hold on, I gotta get a snack. This is gonna be fun. And I watched it the whole way and I got it. I understood it, and I was just entranced. I was like, wow. And it went by like that, and I was super interested with everything that you had to say. And it was funny too. It was really, really funny. And so I would like to hear more of like you talking about specific things that you might like or dislike or whatever, because I think you're good at it. But that's just my opinion.
It was very erudite. I mean, you swore, you shouted, and you were very passionate about what you were saying. But then you calmed down and you went, right, next stage.
Yes.
And then you went into it again. Do you know what I would have loved to have seen? I would have loved to have seen some actual footage from the venue of you just screaming in ushers' faces.
I did not scream at any usher. I would not have done it. Now, if I found that conductor in a back alley on the way to the hotel, it might have been a little different. But
yeah, that's but I thought it was really, really good. Honestly, I think, maybe a topic a week or something like that. Like you do something like what Sound Engraver does. She just kind of like has an opinion, and it's like, you can like, Star Wars sucks, and then it's like, all right, well, let's hear what Daniel has to say about Star Wars, or whatever. I like the long form. I like this version of, not that I don't like the other version, but I think this was something where I was like, kind of like we captured something here. And again, I'm not sure whether you're interested or comfortable in doing that, but yeah, I thought it was great.
Well, David has a question about Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
Why was it omitted? Got me. I
haven't seen anything past the first one. Well, the second one I saw.
It's a wonderful sequence. It's a wonderful piece. Maybe there's a rights issue of putting it on the album. Like, it probably would have. It is probably a rights issue, or Kramer just didn't want it on there.
Maybe it was just the fact. Maybe he didn't kind of orchestrate or conduct the Nessun Dorma. Maybe they just took library pieces and maybe edited them together to make that sequence. And maybe he just thought, I'm just going to put my music on the album, something along those kind of lines.
Yeah, I mean, and La La Land Records is the one that released it, so I mean, they're not a major label. So I mean, I know they have done releases where they've gone, the extra mile to release songs, and like Ferris Bueller. and get the license for those. But I'm just wondering whether it's like, all right, we're just going to feature the score, and we won't. I mean, on top of that, they have to probably get the license for the Mission Impossible theme anyway. So, but it'd be nice to have it on there. But I don't know if it was. You're right. I don't know what the arrangement was for the film.
It was a great sequence in the film.
Yes.
With that point in the music where the assassination was going to take place.
I agree.
It was like something from an old Hitchcock film.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, that's yeah, no, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I mean, it could come down to money or just the way they want to design the album.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think there is no good reason. It's just cause.
Right. I mean, sometimes you'll find out the answer to something. You're like, oh, well, I guess that's what it was. But other people in the universe are just blowing this out of proportion, and they've got it all wrong. You know, some of the simplest explanation is usually the right one, and you know, there's not really this huge conspiracy to stop composers from doing this and that. So yeah,
And
I find it's amazing how rumors just get spread and yeah, and then they become truth. Like, you know, internet.
Could it just be they had it on the original soundtrack and some guy came in and was like, you need to trim 5 minutes. Take that
It's
out.
possible.
And
But I mean, you're right. What is the recording? And so then that recording belongs to a record label, which belongs to, you know, you got to get the license, you got to get the mechanical license, you've got to get this, you got to get that. It's like, why go through that headache when, I mean, that piece is out there already, and I'm sure you can go.
It's probably just down to that. There's so many great recordings of Nessun Dorma. They probably thought, well, it might be just a bit redundant putting it on this release when we can, you know, it might push off some great film score that we want to include on that. So let's just get rid of Nessun Dorma. And
I mean, to be completely honest, it would probably be a track I would skip on the album. And like a lot of classical music, I don't want to hear that. Like the JFK album, the classical stuff I skip over. The classical stuff that's on that Samantha disc I just showed you guys, I never listened to it. If I don't listen to that, I'll go listen to a separate album recording of that. But some people like that. Some people like to have the songs on their albums. It helps the experience, which is great. Which is why I thank goodness for iTunes. I can just uncheck it and say I don't want to listen to that piece ever again.
Or you can just make the mixtape and not put it on the tape.
Well, there you go. And that's exactly. So,
hello, Sound Engraver. How are you? We were talking about you earlier.
We were.
Hi, Sound Engraver.
Well, I think Eric needs to get ready for his trip. I actually have to get to work kind of early this evening. I
have to go to bed.
Ian has to go to bed.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm in Newfoundland for the next 4 to 5 weeks. But again, if my connection is good out there and I have the time, then maybe we can try to get back for a couple of sessions here and there in July. Or you guys seriously talk amongst yourselves, have a special guest host on Monday's Batman shows, and I will watch the playback when I get a chance or when I go to bed or whatever.
Ian and I were discussing watching some movies.
Cool. Watch. You've never seen Rogue Nation?
Sure, I haven't seen that.
Oh my God, get on that.
I after the second one, I'm like, I'm done with this film series. I'm like,
no, forget the second one.
You haven't seen 3?
No, I was done. I'm telling you, I walked out of that second one. I'm like, this is crap.
You've got to watch 3, 4, and 5 back to back. And they are so good. Like, I mean, really, really
I'm
good.
also not a huge Tom Cruise fan because I dated a girl in college who I had a huge crush on, and this is what she told me. She's like, "Well, if you look like Tom Cruise, I would fuck you." And I'm like, You could put a bag over your head and pretend I'm Tom Cruise.
Oh my god.
The Batman Show, everyone.
Good night. They are one. Well, three is it. It does take it back to what De Palma was doing in the first one, but it's in the J.J. Abrams style of shooting. But it's an action-packed sequence with some amazing action set pieces. But the real draw from it is Philip Seymour Hoffman. I don't think there's a
He's a
better
good
bad
actor.
guy in any Mission Impossible movie but Philip Seymour Hoffman. He is so good. So good. And there's an incredible break-in sequence in this one that is so much fun. Oh, especially number 4. Number 4's break-in sequence is really cool. And then 5 is just on adrenaline, but it doesn't go so far over the top, and it's got a great twist and great
Is that the one with
music.
Superman?
No, Superman's Fallout. So
That.
which I didn't particularly like, but you can watch it, you still probably enjoy it. But I think 3, 4, and 5 are pretty fun. Like
many have
those
there been?
protocols.
6 as well.
Yeah. And if you want to go for 6 has some incredible. I just find that 6 is about maybe half an hour too long.
Okay.
But Tom Cruise needed to fly a helicopter for real, so we need that whole action sequence at the end. And it's stunning. I mean, it's all shot in IMAX, and it actually looks pretty impressive. But he also needed to go skydiving. That's the one who went skydiving, right? Fallout, yeah. But I think the stunts he does in number 4 is the most impressive one ever, because it just gives me the heebie-jeebies. I'm so afraid of heights.
God, yes.
I'm like, what the hell? And to know that he did that for real is it's yeah. But God, you know what? Like I was somewhat done with Mission Impossible. I thought 2 was over. There's no way they can come back from this. And then there's 3, and you're like, holy goodness gracious! And it has a great love interest, and like I said, some incredible action sequences. There's a sequence on a bridge that'll blow your mind, man, and it's loud. Holy cow! But Giacchino's score is also really, really, really well mixed too. It's like right up front, and yeah, it's fun. I highly recommend watching them. You'll have a great time, honestly.
Okay.
You will. Yeah. This isn't like Showgirls.
I got a lot of
These are
research done
really
for that
good
show,
movies.
just so you know.
Was that?
I got a lot of research done for that show. It's going to be the most educational show ever.
I think you should write the book on the making of that. You'd be the new J.W. Rinsler of Showgirls.
We'll think. Well, everyone, thanks for coming by. I know Eric's got to get busy packing.
Yes.
We'll have something soon. I'll post it. Adopt, don't shop. Keep listening to great film music. And we'll see everyone later. Thank you so much, guys.